Welcome to the Planeswalker Project.
What's up everyone? So if you haven't heard by now, this year's commander decks featured tribal strategies, which is by far one of the easiest builds to use to get into the commander format. Tribal strategies feature a lot of great synergies, and by offering a precon deck to players to get them into a tribal build, they're getting an excellent running start into becoming a commander player. Now, my personal experience is that the cat deck led by Arabo Roar of the World is the easiest to play straight from the box, not only having easy to learn strategy, but having very modest upgrades that you can put together for only a few bucks more than the precon deck. In this video, I want to offer you a route that you as the viewer can take as either a new commander player or someone just wanting to get into one of these decks without breaking your bank by offering my picks for just 20 cards that you can add into the Feline Ferocity deck that will make it that much better. And another little limit we're putting on ourselves is a total budget of $30. Since a lot of players can't afford cards like the original duels and so on, I want to keep the cards to add in to be as inexpensive as possible. So the majority of the cards that you will see as the options I recommend slipping in will be about $1 or less, with only a few cards that go above that. Let's begin. So the majority of the additions in here are creature based. There are cards that I recommend adding to your creature suit that will not only give you better cats to use, but some potent utility that you're going to be thankful to have later. Acidic Slime, perhaps the most useful creature in green in Commander, gives you a powerful removal ability that can wipe out an enchantment, an artifact, or land on it hitting the battlefield. It also has Death Touch, making it a very good creature to block, so your opponent's creatures end up dying in the process. I'm actually a little surprised Mr. Slime didn't quite make his way into this year's decks, but I highly recommend putting it in. Next is a cat tribal must-have. The Felidar Sovereign, a 4/6 with lifelink and vigilance, is a win condition you will want to put in. Cats tend to sort of have a sub-theme in life gain strategy, being able to boost your life total to ridiculous amounts. And with the Sovereign in play, if you are at 40 or more life at the beginning of your upkeep, you win the game. This makes it a great contender to add to that life gain synergy, especially if you can swing in and gain a ton of life. Our next card will be piggybacking off that same concept. Regal Caracal from the Amonkhet block is one of the pricier cards at this list at the moment, but is one of the first cards I would recommend you add to your cat deck. Giving all your cats a buff and lifelink is some serious catnip, and spawning 2 more cats upon it entering the battlefield means you'll be getting a nice 3-for-1. Now, if your goal of the deck is to stick with Arabo, but keep going with that life gain strategy, the Trained Caracal is a card you might want to consider. It's a 1/1 with lifelink for only 1 mana that might seem a little underwhelming, but given Eminence bumping it up to be a potential 4/4 with lifelink on turn 2, that gives this cat quite a bit more bite. I do also find 2 other 1-drop cats to be quite useful for this deck, but maybe not so much so. While Naqada can become a 2/2 should you control a plains, and in the inverse, Loam Lion can become a 2/3 should you control a forest. These are excellent examples of some low-end spells for your curve, giving you some extra punch in the early game. These both can benefit from swinging in turn 2 utilizing Arabo's +3/+3 benefit without too much to worry about. Another cat I feel is perfect for this deck is the Pride Sovereign. I mentioned him before, but the Sovereign is such a key contender for a cat Voltron strategy, able to become immense with a field full of feline fur babies, and given his ability to create more lifelink cat tokens is just amazing. Next, and a card that I feel has finally gotten the attention it deserves, is Naqada War Pride. I mentioned this as well earlier, before we got to see what these decks were, but in the multiplayer format such as Commander, the War Pride shines. Getting those attacking tokens mean you can be dishing out all the damage across the table. I also believe this is the most expensive card on this list at about $4. Hopefully you were able to pick one of these up before it spiked. Moving right along, we do have a few flying cats to take note of. The Leonin Sky Hunter is a flying 2/2 cat that could be bumped up to be a 5/5 flying cat with a Rabo, and the flying gives it the kind of evasion that we so desperately need in this deck. Our other flying cat is the Sky Hunter Skirmisher, a 1/1 for 3 mana that also has double strike with flying. Give this the buff by our commander and it becomes a 4/4 with double strike. Definitely consider this, especially should you be running ways to give lifelink. Prowling Serpapard, the new Pokemon from the Amonkhet region, is another good option, making our creature spells safe from counterspells. And should you not be able to afford the Cavern of Souls, while this one isn't quite a land, it does give some similar protection to our creature spells as the Cavern would. Now, as we do have a lot of elements for a Voltron build, using equipments to power up a single creature to get in for a ton of damage, we might want to add a few more cards to benefit from this. SRAM Senior Edificer gives us a card draw engine for each time we cast an equipment spell, making for some excellent card advantage. I would go so far as to say SRAM is one of the best additions to Voltron strategies from recent sets, being also useful should you add in some auras. Another great way to protect your equipment is the Lenient Abunaz, who gives all of your artifacts hexproof. This is a great way to protect your weaponry from removal, which is often one of the only ways to weaken up a suited up cat. And even though that the Abunaz is very budget friendly at only about $2, if you need a more budget option, the Indomitable Archangels Metalcraft gives your artifact Shroud should you have 3 or more artifacts in play. 3 or more artifacts should be pretty easy to access. Now, I'm not a monster, but this next cat's inclusion in your commander deck can make for a powerful and subtle win condition that will likely make your parents write to me complaining about it. I'm not advocating for poisoning your opponents, but if you can suit it up to get just 10 points of damage through unblocked, Lost Leonin offers a vile streak of infect to cats. Just saying. Now, there are a few each of enchantments and artifacts I would feel would help this deck out immensely. Firstly, Sigarda's Aid is a must for any deck running equipments. For 1 white mana, giving all of your equipments in your hand flash and letting them immediately attach for free, all for 1 measly mana, is huge. And of course, since we want more life gain, True Conviction can help put our total way out of reach. There are 3 equipments as well that I recommend. Prowler's Helm and Trailblazer's Boots each basically make the equipped creature unblockable, as nearly no deck in Commander runs walls, and most Commander decks do run a good amount of non-basic lands. And finally, Stoneforge Masterworks gives you a coat of arms on a stick that you can plop onto a cat before swinging in for huge amounts of damage. As for cards to remove from the deck to make room for these new cards, those choices are entirely up to you. As with all Commander deck building advice, which cards you choose to run, and which cards you want to replace from your precon, and when, is entirely up to you. So playtest some of these, and see which ones work best for you, and then determine which cards might not be performing as well in the deck. As you test out some of the new cards from your deck, you're going to find cards that work your deck better, do stronger plays, and most importantly, make your games more fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like this video and share it around to help spread the word. If you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe for more Commander content. If you'd like to help the channel improve, you can check out our Patreon over at patreon.com/planeswalkerproject, and as always, I will see you at the beginning of the next upkeep.